Harry Eyres. Excellent. Harry Eyres is a published poet. He's editor of LSE Environment. It's a newsletter of the LSE Centre for Environmental Policy and Governance. He wrote The Beginner's Guide to Plato's The Republic. He was born in London. I won't say the year. He has degrees and diplomas from Cambridge University, Barcelona University, and the LSE. He's a journalist, as I say. He established and writes the FT Slow Lane column, and was a theatre critic, wine editor of Harper and Queen's, wine columnist for The Spectator, and the first and so far the only poetry editor of the Daily Express. Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Eyres.
Thank you. You can probably see that I'm not against all technology, particularly not winemaking. But I think we've got to be quite sort of precise here. What I'm going to argue is that certain kinds of new technology may be causing more serious problems, and remember the serious bit, than they're solving, because first, we're deeply confused about technology, or about the essence of technology, as the philosopher Heidegger put it. We'll come back to him. And secondly, because we're confused about what constitutes a problem, and we're overly addicted to the whole paradigm of problem solving. Now I'm going to take the second prong of that pitchfork first. Pitchfork, another very good old technology, very useful for different kinds of things. I want to question this whole mindset of problem solving. And I suggest there's a problem-solving mentality which sees problems everywhere, maybe even creates them where they don't exist, and also tends to see them in isolation, not connected to anything else. By the way, you're not going to get an anti-green tirade from me, rather the opposite, but I'll come back to that. Now there are some things which may well be problems which are amenable to solution. How to drill teeth without causing pain, for example. And you certainly won't find me advocating a return to medieval dentistry. And that could be multiplied, all sorts of things along those lines. But we should be very careful about what we see as a problem. And I want to take communication, and this has already come up, and it's going to come up more, I'm sure, and communications technologies. Partly because that's an area where technology is proliferating, and new technologies particularly proliferating. And also because that's an area where this problem-solving mentality may be especially misguided. So, a question. Is human communication exactly a problem which can be solved? Or, to put it another way, what would happen if it were solved? The implication of problem solving is that the problem dissolves or disappears in the solution. But what a terrible thing it would be if human communication dissolved in the solution. And that may sound sort of far-fetched or apocalyptic, but mobile phones and emails and maybe Twitter and other things, which promise better communication, or according to Orange, a whole new concept of communication, may also be complicit in doing away with communication in any profound sense altogether. Here is a... Good, okay. And here is a vision from an Orange press release. This is of a communication device, and now I quote, "perhaps as small as a stud in your ear. Eventually you will simply say what you want, whenever you want it, and wherever you want it." Now, is that communication? I mean, communication, except maybe for a tiny baby, or possibly a looter, sorry to say that, is not just about saying what you want. Another German philosopher, Habermas, defines communication rather more generously as mutual understanding in language. Email, by the way, I use these technologies, or they use me. That's not quite sure which. I have a mobile phone. I don't know if it's a good thing. I use email. But email, together with other disembodied communications technologies, promises a kind of instant and unfettered communication. It promises to dispense with tedious formalities at the same time as it vastly speeds up the process of delivery. Now this sounds wonderful, but it also introduces a whole new set of problems. Some of them may be serious. How do you address recipients of emails? How do you sign off? I think this is a tremendous problem. There's this terrible uneasiness in the absence of etiquette with email, I find. And even worse than that, emails are just too easy to send. And no thought was given by the inventors of email, whoever they were, I don't know who they were, to the effect of being bombarded with communication in this way and the horrible feeling of not being able to respond. Now, responsible communication and responsible communications technology, I think, must include awareness of the possibility or impossibility of response. Response is key to all this. And of course, this is not just a technological problem, also an ethical problem. Now, let me just assert something. Human communication is thick and slow and should remain so. It is thick with irreducible human elements, elements of character, emotion, address, courtesy, tone. Any new communications technology which promises to do away with this irreducible thickness and slowness, turning communications into a set of disembodied and perhaps ultimately financial transactions, is likely to cause more serious problems than it solves. And I think it looks as if the same could be said about technologies which promise to do away with the irreducible thicknesses and interconnectednesses of nature. So I'm not singing from the same song sheet as Brendan on this point. New fishing technologies, for example, which I'm sure he would praise, but we agree on most things, but not on this. I just want to say that because I don't want everyone to be alienated who might be remotely green. But new fishing technologies, which appear to solve problems like how to catch more haddock or cod, end up trashing the whole marine environment and also destroying stocks of haddock and cod. Serious problems. So I'm coming back now to the first confusion, or the confusion about the essence of technology. Now, I think we think of technologies as means to ends, in other words, thoroughly instrumental. But the trouble with that is that if everything is a means to an end, and I think we can include most new technologies under that, then the end somehow gets lost along the way. I'm going to finish very soon, but under this way of thinking, which Heidegger called inframing, we have brought about a nightmare in which everything is a means to an end, a resource. The river is not a river, but a power source. We ourselves, in the current management jargon, are not human beings, but human resources. But in its origins, this is something to think about as I finish, technology is not a means. This is what Heidegger says, but it's a way of revealing, even a way of revealing the truth. The Greek word techne means both technique and art.
You stay there. Okay, you'll have to do your grilling from here because we don't have time for you to go back there. It's fine. Stay where you are. Just make sure you speak into the mic. Okay, fellas, your witness.
Harry, just tell me one thing. You're saying that the world would be a better place without mobile phones and emails. If you had your magic wand, you'd wave it, they'd disappear, and we'd all be happier. Is that right?
No, I'm not saying that. I didn't say that. I'm saying that
just joining up the dots, that's all I'm doing.
No, I mean, I'm deeply divided in myself about whether the mobile is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know, to be honest. In my own case, I resisted having one.
So you've invested your own money in modern technology, is that right?
Yeah, yes, I
Shame
have.
on you. You're supposed
have.
To be, you're on my side, obviously.
Well, I never... No, I use these things, but with wariness and with some doubt about what they might be doing both to me and to other people. I can't abjure them altogether. Well, I could, but I'm not going to go and live in a cave or build a cabin in Walden Pond. In a way, I wish I could, but I'm not that kind of person. I'm part of the modern world, but I'm wary and sceptical.
Yeah.